Happy Social Media Saturday. Welcome back. I am here talking with another fabulous marketer, Maya Neal, who is a social media manager and the founder of Lee's Creative Management. Thanks so much for coming to talk with me today, Maya.
Thanks for
Um,
having
yes, of course, of course.
me.
And so I found Maya on Instagram, or not on Instagram, sorry, on LinkedIn rather. I saw a post of hers and it did a little bit of LinkedIn stalking and found a article about her story from about your story, Maya, from when you were graduating from college to starting your own social media management business. And so I'm just so excited to hear more about your story and share some of your learnings with other watchers. So I guess I'll start by just asking you how you fell into social media at all. Like what showed you that you had an interest in this field?
So I literally fell into social media. So like growing up, like I was not allowed to have social media, funny enough. So like I didn't get like any type of social media platform until I probably got to college. I think I had like Snapchat in high school, but that was about it. So I always think that's like hilarious that I now work in social, but so my degree is in marketing and I went to college for marketing and you know, I throughout my internships I was doing like double dabbling in a lot of different stuff. So I was doing social media, I was doing graphic design work, I was doing videography. I was even like working on like email campaigns and stuff. So I like always say to anybody who wants to work in marketing, like get your hands and your feet dirty and kind of just experience like the different sectors of marketing because it's so broad and see what you like best. And so I completed like three different internships, and I realized that I personally enjoyed like content creation and being on social. Um, and that's kind of how I fell into that. I'd probably say like my favorite internship, I got to intern for Girl Scouts, so the council here in Texas. And I was previously a Girl Scout as well, so I had like so many ideas, and they were like super awesome about hearing them and letting me, come up with content and doing some videos and stuff like that. So that's kind of how I got into it.
That's a very, I love that journey from these different types of internships. So interesting that you worked with Girl Scouts, and I bet that was a fun project and lots of different creative marketing ideas there. Um, and really, I think what drew me to your story is so much of it resonated with me and what my story into social media was of kind of just graduating college and looking out at the job world and thinking, okay, I don't really know how I'm gonna jump into this. And so kind of in my case, it was I ran into somebody who had a social media business and I asked her to mentor me and then um, she trained me and gave me a client. And so that was a way of kind of starting my own thing instead of diving into this job world. But I'd love to hear more from you about how that was. You mentioned that you started your business in the pandemic. How did that all come to be?
Yeah, crazy. So I graduated in 2020 at that, like we had just went into lockdown. My internship at that time, it wasn't with Girl Scouts, it was a different one. But that internship was supposed to turn into a full-time role. And they couldn't because of the pandemic. And so I was stuck and I was just like, well, here I am graduated. My internship is now over. There's a hiring freeze, so I had applied to like 100 plus jobs and got nothing, heard from like nobody. Um, and we're stuck inside the house. What do I do? Right? Obviously bills still happen, they still come, and you gotta have some type of income. So I was like, okay, I can't just do nothing. I have these fresh skills. I want to do something. So I started doing a lot of research. I was researching into like virtual assisting, and I saw like people doing Pinterest management, and then I saw a few people that actually ran like social media agencies, and I was like, I've always said I wanted to have like a business of my own, something of my own, and I was like, duh, Maya, like just start your own business. Um, and so that's what I did. I literally like I thought of it, and then probably like 2 3 weeks later I had like an Instagram and I was up and running. Um So like of course it took me like a while to get my first client. I think it took me like 6 months of like building my Instagram and consistently posting before I got my first client. But then after that, it was like my business took off, and like people just started coming in. And so that's kind of how my business got started.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it did take a minute of consistently putting yourself out there, putting content out there, letting the world know that you were doing this before you got your first client.
Hmm.
And that, I mean, I think that just speaks like your resilience and like you really need to be able to, um, you know, see the long game on that. Was that a hard part of the journey for you, or what was that like getting started?
Yeah, it was. It really was. Because I was like, man, I was getting interest from a lot of people. I had booked like a lot of discovery calls with different people, and they were just like, I'll get back to you, or no, go with someone else, or oh, you're too expensive, yada yada. At that time, social media, and still now, social media is like, we this is how much it actually costs, right? It's like still like that price tag is a bit shocking for people still.
Totally,
And
yeah.
like people, and they were really like, and like think about it, we're still in the pandemic, so people don't really have
Yeah.
the funds to like really, um, you know, pay people to help them with their business, and so yeah, I was working with a mentor at that time too. I had just kind of like connected with her on Facebook, and so I was helping her with some of her stuff to kind of build up my portfolio. Um, and she ended up giving me like one of my like first clients as well, and so yeah, it took a while, and I was like, am I doing something wrong? Like, she's like, no, just like you have to be consistent, keep putting yourself out there. And I think one thing that I really struggled with too along the way is, they say find a niche, right? Find a niche and stick with it. And I was really struggling because the initial niche that I had gone with was like the wedding industry. So I was working with different wedding vendors, and they had been hit really hard by COVID, right? Everyone had postponed their weddings. And I was like, probably not a good decision because like they're not making any money either, right? So I had to like switch my niche for a little bit, and then once I realized, okay, like their like business is starting to come back, then I can switch back. And then kind of as the business grew, I expanded to interior design. But yeah, those 6 months, it was challenging for sure.
Yeah, I bet. And it really I think does take a while to find your niche, you know? Like I heard that advice a lot when I was first starting and it felt impossible for me because I thought, okay, well, at this point I'm just trying to get any client that I could get, right?
Yeah.
Instead of trying to really narrow in. Um, So I would love to talk about trends, social media trends. It's always fun catching up with a fellow social media manager, somebody that's looking at the news and thinking about social media every day as well. And you
Mhm.
brought up in your written interview the trend of de-influencing, which has been a hot topic. Just saw an article comes out about it today in Vogue. They had one piece of data I wanted to share. Oh, the hashtag now has nearly 300 million views on TikTok, which, okay, yeah, that's now a thing. But wanted to hear what are your thoughts on de-influencing? Do you think it's a real trend or do you think it's just kind of influencing in disguise?
I think it's more so like influencing in disguise because if you really think about it, people just want like the true, authentic, they want it straightforward. And so really you're just saying, hey, like I don't like this product and here's why, or here's like a better, product to go try. And people like in a way you're still influencing whether you know it or not. It's called de-influencing, but either way, you once you build, that parasocial relationship with whoever that is on the other side of the screen, you trust them. You trust what they say about certain products, and it's still influencing to me. So when I saw that I would come out, I was like, that's interesting. I see it, and I wonder like where that's gonna like kind of go. But I thought it was interesting, and it was interesting. I don't know what else to say. But I
Yeah, it
think
is. I agree. I think it's
yeah.
interesting. I think it's interesting that it's such a big topic of discussion, right? I think
Hmm.
more it speaks to maybe like the fatigue around influencing and
Yeah.
influencer marketing and just how social media users have become more savvy and more able to spot when something is an ad. And, um, kind of there's also this through line of like overconsumption and how we're like consuming all of uh, this media, these posts that are telling us to essentially consume more. But
Right.
um, so I think there are two camps of it. Like there's the de-influencing that's like, don't buy this, but buy this instead, which is, as you said,
You're
pretty
still
much still
influencing.
influencing. You're like still
Yeah.
like, buy this. But I'm keeping my eye on the de-influencing, the other side that's more like maybe don't buy either, and maybe try buying more sustainably or renting your clothes as an option or whatever it might be.
Hmm. Yeah. Like I said, I think I like it's still influencing either way, whether you're, trying to get someone to try something totally different, it's a dupe. I know dupes are like big right now too, so like I just think, people want the authentic, they want the real, and so I think that's kind of where that de-influencing really came into play because like do I really want to spend $300 on this product when I can get the same exact thing from a different company for like 20?
Totally.
You weigh out your options.
Right. Exactly, exactly, exactly. Well, Maya, I so appreciate you taking the time and sharing your really inspiring story. It is not an easy thing to graduate in a pandemic, start your own business, pick up your own clients, and turn it into the thriving business that you have. So, want to congratulate you on that. And
Thank you.
I would love to round up by asking you if you have any advice for other people, other maybe like recently graduated students or other people who are interested in marketing and would like to start freelancing or start their own business but don't know where
Mhm.
to start.
I always say first and foremost is like be yourself. People can tell when you're not being yourself online. And just be consistent. And then like don't force yourself into entrepreneurship if you're not sure because it is like a huge task to take on. And if you want to get started, start with freelancing. Maybe it ends up not working out for you, or you realize entrepreneurship isn't for me, and that's totally okay. Even myself, like, yes, I still have a business, but I also am a social media full time at a tech company just because entrepreneurship can be so stressful. And so I like the balance of having both because I can still do both. And not be as stressed with being an entrepreneur and trying to run the back end of your business and then trying to handle all your clients. So don't force yourself into entrepreneurship. Definitely do your research and start doing freelancing if that's something you want to get into. Do it, take on an internship, talk with somebody that that owns a business and say, "Hey, can I just run your social for like a couple months?" And just that's a quick and easy way to just get your start. Just kind of get your feet wet.
I think that is excellent advice. And yeah, I'm glad that you also highlight the difficult part of entrepreneurship because I think it can be so glamorous and like work
Hmm.
for yourself. And there is, I think, also maybe a little bit of a push in American culture to try to do that and work for yourself. And yeah, but I also am seeing a lot of people do exactly what you're doing, have the full-time job, but also stay freelancing on the side. And um, so thank you for that. And yeah, I appreciate you. For anyone who's watching, if you'd like to read more about Maya's story and find her social media links, you can do so in her article below. And happy Social Media Saturday. Thanks again, Maya.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.